Tool Tech, brought to you by Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals since 1919. When it comes to building a custom vehicle, most people are comfortable doing the motor work, chassis, suspension, interior, things like that, because there's usually a lot of stuff available in the aftermarket to help you out. But when it comes to sheet metal work, that's a whole nother deal, because it's a creative process and you generally have to make what you need. And if you are into bending and shaping metal, one of the best investments you can make is a power hammer. Now, when most people think of a power hammer, they think of something like this massive Polmax machine that weighs 2 tons, runs on 3-phase power, and takes up a whole corner of the shop. Now, this will definitely work the metal. I mean, there's no question about that. But it's big and it's heavy and it's expensive, takes up a lot of room. Fortunately, there are some choices out there that are better for working metal than this. Let's take a look. This is the new Super Hammer from Dake, and as you can see, it is a lot lighter, a lot more adjustable, a lot more maneuverable than that huge Polmax. But this is not just some cheap little hobbyist toy here that's going to go out on you in a few years. No, this is a professional grade tool built for years of heavy use. And it'll form steel up to 16 gauge and aluminum up to 11 gauge. So you'll not only be able to do hoods and fenders, but you'll also be able to do floors and firewalls and heavier stuff. Yeah. Now, the best thing about a power hammer is it will do in just a few minutes what it would take you hours to do with a sandbag and a mallet. And the key is in the dies. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, basically, a power hammer consists of 2 dies that come together to shape metal. And by changing the dies, you can stretch metal, you can shrink it, you can dome it, you can run a bead in it, you can cut louvers in it. I mean, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do. Now, the dies that I've got here, notice I have a domed die, then I've got one with urethane. And when these come together, they basically do the same thing that a sandbag and a mallet do to put a shape into a piece of sheet metal. Check it out. The thing that you notice about this power hammer over most of the ones you see, it's not quiet it is. You don't need hearing protection. It's very, very smooth, not violent. And look at this, how nicely it's putting this dome in here. And in just a few minutes, here's what you've got. Take a look at this. It could be the start of a fender or a hood scoop or whatever. Do you know how long it would have taken you to do this with a sandbag and a mallet? Man. Now, some of you are probably thinking, you know, that's great. But you can stretch and shape metal like this with a sandbag and mallet. So why would I go to the extra cost of a power hammer? It's a good question. The answer is this guy here will shrink metal just as quick and easy as it stretches it. That's what we're going to do next. Okay, say you want to make a piece like this fender that curves down on the ends. Well, the only way to get this shape and keep this flange is you have to shrink it on this flange too. That will allow the fender to curve down, which means you need a shrinking die. Now this is called a thumbnail shrinking die. You see how they go together? And the way it works is when you push the metal in, it bends the metal up in the center. When you pull it back, it hammers it back together and shrinks it. Now, anytime you're making a panel, you don't just want to go in at random and start doing a panel. There'll be no way to control the shrinkage. What you want to do is draw out some sort of a grid like this to help you control it. Now, this particular grid is for a piece like the front of a fender or a gas tank that's going to come up and roll down in front. Now, obviously, with a shape like that, you're going to have to shrink it more on this outer edge than you will in the center. And having this grid will help you know where you've been and how much you've shrunk it. All right, let's get to it.